If you want to check us out on all of our social media platforms, on Twitter at TinfoilHatCast,
On Instagram at tinfoilhatpod.
or allcomedyt-shirts.com.
Email us at tinfoilhatpod@gmail.com.
Tinfoil hat.
People everywhere.
Tinfoil hat.
Hey man, we're spitting truth there, dog.
Tinfoil hat.
Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Revolution will be podcasted.
Yes, it will be every day. More and more crazy shit going on. Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. Thank you all for tuning in. We got a great episode for you. We got one of my heroes in the world of comedy and just life is joining us. But before we get into it, let's handle a little business. August 15th, I am at the Comedy Palace with Jim Florentine. We're going to be doing Comedy Rampage, me, Jim Florentine, and we're going to throw a couple more people on there and hopefully have a good time. And then the following night, we will be back at the dojo. We'll be at the dojo, and we'll be inside the Sycamore Tavern. That's a 10 p.m. show on August 15th, and those tickets are available on Eventbrite. And we're proud to announce, we announced it on the last show, but we're going to announce it again. November 3rd, we are going to be live in Houston at the Secret Group. It's going to be the Tinfoil Hat Comedy Night. It's going to be comedy and podcasting. We wanted to find out a Dallas date, November 2nd. If you guys have any suggestions for a place to do a show where we can do a special, I want to do a rock club because I want the whole night. I don't want just to be able to do a half an hour show, turn and burn. I like to do a whole night and have a good time. So we're coming, Texas. We're coming. Another thing I want to say to you all is that I would love if you guys, Ryan, maybe we can get this going to get Bobcat. Everybody start tweeting and Instagramming Bobcat Goldthwait about getting on the show.
Oh, yeah. Let's start a movement, man. We want to promote his new show.
His new show's it's Misfits and Monsters, right?
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Is it on True TV? It's on True.
True.
It's on TV.
It's on TV, and it's about, what is it? What are those called?
Well, there's a lot of
cryptoids?
cryptid tie-ins, so we're going to try to get an episode since we've never done anything on Bigfoot or any of the classic cryptids. So
I would love that. So, guys, tweet him. It's worked with Abby Martin. It's worked with other people. I'm a big fan of his. He was born in upstate New York. I'm from upstate New York. Tweet him about coming on Tinfoil Hat. Let him know that we're legit and we're too legit to quit. And we'd love to have him on. We promote the show. Next episode, Eddie Bravo is back. Ryan, welcome. Any thoughts?
Oh, man, I'm excited, dude. This is a repeat, if you think, man. There's a tie-in to a guest we've had on before, so I'm very excited to.
Yes. See the mask over there?
Hey,
Do you know
Eddie.
what that mask is from?
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean you've had Henry on?
Yeah. Welcome to the show. One of my heroes. We'll talk about his podcast, all of his dates coming out. The Bitter Buddha, my good friend. I love him to death. I love watching him perform. My good friend, Eddie Pepitone.
Thank you, Sam and Ryan. What's happening, guys?
Glad you're
There's
here.
some crazy shit out there.
Everything's out. There's so much going on.
Whoa. I was just talking to Ryan about how I think I'm pretty normal. I have 2 little dogs. I throw the ball to the dogs. And then going on all around me is crazy.
Chaos.
Military dropping, biological agents on people. And I'm just throwing a ball to a dog. And I'm like, Basil, my little dog's Basil. Basil, get the ball. Meanwhile, I don't know that the military is, dropping biological,
Cooking your brain with a little 5G, dude.
Why do these people exist who,
I don't know, man.
It goes way
deep.
back,
It
too,
goes
man.
really
it does,
deep.
yeah.
There's so much stuff. Is Bigfoot interdimensional? Like, we got so much reptilians, pedophiles running Hollywood. Like, there's so much going on all around you. My opinion is, here you go, what do you think? I go, just imagine every movie ever made all at the same time. That's why things going on. They're just all over the fucking place, and I fucking love it. And it's so much more interesting than watching the nightly news. That's boring ass shit. Why not believe in interdimensional Bigfoot and archons and lizard people and the Anunnaki and the fucking shady reptilians and all that shit? It's way more fun to try to figure out. And like, there are videos of all this shit, but we all dismiss it because we don't want to believe it, because Rachel Maddow's sexy lesbian face didn't tell us about it, and that's where we're at. So we do something on here called Tower 7 and Above. Like, where do you see yourself in the conspiracy world? Like, are there conspiracies that Eddie Pepitone believes in?
Are there conspiracies? Yes, I think there are conspiracies at very high levels, at the highest levels,
like a money and power type thing.
Yes. And someone put it to me that, well, maybe it's not conspiracies. Maybe it's just, a cabal, a group of people just acting in their own interest. And there's an arrogance to these people.
I love it.
Well, there's an arrogance because they think, look, we run the world. We know we know what's best for these little fuckers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like we were going to talk a little bit about military, the military doing experimentation on people.
Yes.
Now, what it's amazing arrogance that these motherfuckers can say, well, let's just drop this chemical on people and see what it does, to people. And they monitor it. They monitor these people. They don't tell them what's going on. This has been documented, right,
For
Ryan?
years. For years, decades, and centuries it's been done, since the early 1800s. And we'll get into that. Before we get into everything, I would love for you to let everybody know about your wonderful podcast and any
my
dates
podcast,
you might have.
My podcast is called Pep Talks,
Yes.
and it's on this network, All Things Comedy, co-hosted by Steve Lally, and check that out.
Word is, I made that relationship. I introduced you guys in a parking lot at the Comedy Store.
I forgot about that's right.
You are welcome. You are welcome. We started talking.
Yeah, I like Steve's politics right off the bat. You
Yeah.
know, I'm a big left winger.
Did he ever tell you about being possessed by a haunted vagina? Did he ever tell you that?
Yes.
The haunted holes that he got possessed by? And your
Yes.
thoughts on that? That's a paranormal type thing.
That was a paranormal type thing, yeah.
Do you believe in ghosts at all?
Do I believe in ghosts? I do, I think. I do believe in a spirit world for sure.
Yeah, we just did a podcast with Abby Martin, a famous, very famous journalist, one of the old school. She's beautiful. She looks like Ian Flux, right, from the old Liquid television cartoon.
Abby Martin, is she on RT?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, she just did our podcast.
She's a total left winger, yeah.
Yeah, she goes hard.
And
in
what
pain,
does she
too.
do? And what does she believe in and stuff?
Well, we
She's
got
like a
her
war
on-
correspondent. She knows a lot about Syria. We talked about Yemen, and we got into the idea that Operation Mockingbird hasn't ever stopped, which is the CIA's infiltration of the media.
Yeah, but
Operation Mockingbird.
But the most, and we'll get into that for 2 seconds. But the most interesting part of the whole episode is if you go watch the YouTube video, around 40 minutes in, everybody's saying they can see, because we did at the Comedy Store, because she couldn't do it today, so we went to the store. You can see an orb floating over her head because the Comedy Store is haunted like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's interesting. Because
Everybody says that about the store, huh?
You never see anything? I don't know if you go late enough to see shit when the ghosts might come out, the witching's hours, you know?
Oh, really?
Like when there's less people there or not anybody. Because there'll be a couple nights where nothing.
That place does have an incredible vibe to it, though. Yeah, like a deep, deep something.
It was an old gangster place and
I know.
abortion clinics and all
Abortion
that.
clinic?
Upstairs, that's what they said used to happen, dude. That's why they call it the belly room.
That isn't why they call it the Valley.
That's what they say. That's what they say. That's what they say.
We're misinformation agents, Eddie. You gotta perpetuate something.
He is. I just tell you what the word on the street is, dude, okay? I just tell you to chucking and the jiving. Dates. Any dates you want?
Yeah, I am going to be in, let's see, I am doing next week. I'll be in Amsterdam. I'll be in Toomlers.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, baby.
These are the blessings of being a wonderful comic. You get to travel the world and get paid for it, right?
Yeah, well, I did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival a couple of years, and that's kind of like a trade market for all these people around the world to see you. So I've done a bunch of shows. Anyway, I'm doing Toomlers, and that's going to be in August 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then I'm doing Austin, September 27th. And then I'm doing North Dakota. Fargo.
That used to be a lot of oil money. I don't know if it's still like that anymore, dude.
Is that
Just
right?
dudes with cash.
So I got to know, is there another season of Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell?
Yes, from
coming
what
up?
I understand, there is another season, and I mean, I don't think we've officially gotten the word, but I hear that from good sources that we're going to be filming, I think, early next year.
Congratulations.
I think it's a
Yeah.
perfect tie-in because what we're talking about is so much being a tortured soul, and your episode.
I'm the tortured soul.
When you got to be a demon, that was my
Yeah.
favorite. I'm a big fan of Adult Swim, man. So we've
Yeah.
already asked Henry if we could be demons one day and get the red on. So
Oh yeah,
put it
you're
in
gonna
there.
come down to Atlanta?
Yeah.
I'd
man.
love to do that.
Hey, we'll do a TFH from Georgia. Why
yeah,
not?
why not?
Be
We
worth
got
it.
a lot of listeners in Atlanta. Holla at your boy, Atlanta. Hotlanta. So we can hit you up. We go kind of, what do you want to talk about? And you know,
Right.
I think you might be into the geopolitics of life. That
Yeah.
seems to be like the early
Yeah.
stages of like the conspiracies. It's more stuff you can see acting out as you discuss it. If Hillary was elected, would we already be at war with Russia and all this crazy stuff, regardless of what you think happened?
By
in
the way,
election?
with the war with Russia, for instance, to have nuclear arsenals, how do you like, you have to kind of say, which is the ultimate insanity, we're gonna blow up the fucking planet.
Oh, for
all
sure.
human life is gonna cease. So how can there be a war with Russia? It's a very strange.
Well, what about China and India? Nobody talks about that war.
Yeah.
They're like gearing up on their coast. They're both nuclear powers.
I know.
And they both have
Well-
bazillions of people. That'd be
Yeah.
a crazy war.
Well, everybody has feared a war between India and
Pakistan.
Pakistan
Yeah.
for a long time.
Seems like India doesn't get along with anybody.
It's funny too, because I'm into deep spirituality, which is like kind of like the Eastern Buddhism, and
Yeah.
that's an interesting way to approach like otherworldliness.
Yeah.
And that approach to otherworldliness that the deep Indian gurus, the Maharajas, have is by completely letting go of ego and this realm and just being pure consciousness.
It's very interesting. You should do Duncan Trussell's
Oh yeah,
podcast.
Duncan is me and Duncan have gone off on that. Yeah.
So are you a Buddhist or are you more
I'm
just,
more toward
Eastern?
that.
Yeah.
I'm like
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that we would never use nuclear war, but have you ever heard of in the Hindu text, the Mahabharata, how they talk about single arrows made of light taking out cities of 1 million?
Is that right? I think I have heard of that, and recently too.
Recently-
So that was kind of like foretelling.
That it's happened in the past.
Or that it had already
shit.
happened.
So like this was like, oh, those are just stories. And then recently they've excavated an area in India where there's all these massive people, like a mass die out of people, and their bones are irradiated.
No.
Yeah. And not normal, because there's normal radiation, there's normal uranium and
Right.
plutonium, but this is weapons grade.
Really?
So
They say it's weapon grade also on Mars. Like it's nuclear weapons grade, like atmosphere, the soil, and all that shit. Like that's crazy stuff, right?
yeah, it's called Xenon 129. It is the exact isotope that is weapons grade signature. So it's found in the soil and the air of Mars. There's no way for it to occur naturally.
Really? I have never heard that.
Times.
That's if you believe that we have ever been to Mars. I mean, there's a lot of ifs, right, when you walk into this room. I mean, Aaron's heard it all. I mean,
Aaron, he's not even listening. He's just fucking.
Oh, Aaron, does he wear it? I thought he had some
Aaron's in his
pushback.
cage in the corner. So we talked about this. Like, let's get into the military. We do a lot of like propaganda on this
Yeah.
show. And then we kind of start like people, we see this push right now. I'm not sure what I'm pretty sure I know what your take on Trump is on how, I do. And, this whole push, how everybody's like, how can he question the intelligence agencies of this country? And you're like, well, let's go back to 9/11, and let's go back to these other things that happened. And we say on here, anybody in the presidency, I would question everything they do. I don't care if they're white, black. Santa Claus could be the president. I would be convinced he was a fucking war criminal. So I see him all
They
as
are war
fucking
criminals.
shady as shit.
Yeah.
But we want to get into kind of that there's been this kind of like dark hand, if we want to call it deep state, but this really dark hand of the military that's done. It's kind of this weird over history, not just the United States military, but many other countries' militaries that have no
true,
problem with doing, experimentation on their own people.
Unbelievable. What were you reading? What was that website again that we both
We're all
looked
talking
at?
about unethical human atrocities, I believe it was all talking about.
That's got to be a fun website to work on, right?
I mean, even before, because we think right now, when we think of like things that happen in warfare, we think of immediately Agent Orange. That's like the one that comes to mind. But way back before there was ever chemical or biological, it was surgical experiments. Because as soon as we could get electricity, we needed to hook it up to someone's
Well, that's
brain,
what we do with
Right.
any invention. We automatically go to the most evil way to use it, right? It's like, it's kind of a hacky joke by comedians. Like, as soon as the camera was invented, someone asked a chick to get naked, right? And just start taking naked pictures of her. So as soon as you could just, cut somebody open, some scientist got some poor fuck who was just wrong.
You know
place,
what's
wrong-
fucked up about? I used to think that I think most people do have like this kind of knee-jerk great respect for scientists, but they can be such fucking dicks. Now, I'm a big animal lover.
For sure.
And these motherfuckers are always testing shit on animals, and they don't need to do that stuff anymore.
Right.
And it's really just fucked up. I'm like, how the hell do you do that? Like, there was a great documentary on, I believe they were doing it on, I don't know if it was chimps, but just testing all this stuff on chimps, and it was just they destroy them, and
it really sucks, and they don't have anybody speaking up for them. The ones that
Right.
do just get laughed
Right.
at. It's like, what are they supposed to do on people? Well, yeah. There's actually way more fucking people than there is chimps. We're like running out of chimps.
That being said, would you guys donate your body to
No.
science afterwards?
But like Jeffrey
Afterwards.
Dahmer would have been great. Like Dahmer would have been great to do experiments on. Like, why the fuck not?
there wasn't much left of him when they were done. You know how he died, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking before that moment. Why even let him go to prison? If you're doing life, like, we should be able to be like, well, granted, if somebody innocent gets found guilty. I mean, let's just say when we know he did it. Like, we really know he did it, right? Like, just light him up, dude. Maybe it's like, hey, dude, you have the death penalty, or you could be an experiment, and for 30 years we do whatever the fuck you want. And if you make it that 30 years and you're an old man, we'll let you out.
That's called
like
The Running Man, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
the idea isn't perfect, but the point is there's options. Other
That'd
than
be funny,
fuck-
you arguing this on the floor, on C-SPAN. Look, we take these people and light them the fuck up. Oh, you're out of order, sir. You're out of. You're like the senator.
We got to make that show. You going to a local
You are
city
out
council?
of order, sir. A local city council. I'm telling you, this motherfucker in a local city council, it would be like a guy who's run a red light for like years.
This guy.
Like, if you have 35 red lights, we're gonna start testing this new drug on you.
Well, Eddie, I mean, like, I know you were blessed to have a wonderful career for a while, but there's comics who, like, when shit isn't working out, they do medical testing, dude.
Oh man.
All my
what
friends-
people do for money, right? When they're desperate,
Yeah.
is fucked up. I hope I don't know any of these comics.
You know
I
them
hope.
all.
Well, are they the openers?
They're the 40-year-olds who
Oh,
you
yeah, I
look
know,
down on. You know, they always talk about how bad they feel about pro athletes. Like, oh, these pro athletes, they just wreck their bodies, and then at some point they got nothing. Oh, what about like artists who like try to go
Nobody
for it?
gives a shit.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a shit. As a matter of fact, people don't give a shit about anything that is no longer popular. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if they were doing, if they were cutting up Elgin Baylor right now, they'd be like, who? There'd be a couple of people outraged who remember Elgin Baylor.
Yeah. Right? It's, especially
Elgin Baylor is being used to test a new perfume by Revlon.
right? They just wouldn't care.
Baylor needed the money to finance his boat.
If you're 40 and haven't made it yet, good luck getting an ounce of sympathy as a 40-year-old man. Good luck getting an ounce of sympathy.
In the world?
Yeah, from
Well,
anybody.
Yeah.
Like if you're, let's say, a homeless woman on the streets, like there's like multiple homeless shelters to get you out. Like a homeless guy in the street, dude, drug addict, asking for it. Fuck that dude. I mean, there's very little sympathy for men as they get much, much older.
Have you guys ever broken a bone or gotten any surgery?
Oh, yeah.
So you know what it's like, and we use anesthesia now.
Yeah.
Well, back at the turn of the century, 1896, Dr. Arthur Wentworth performed spinal taps on 29 young children.
Oh my
All right,
God.
without their consent, and this was at
This is the thing, without their consent.
a spinal tap. You don't need, and the whole reason for doing so, and this was at the Children's Hospital in Boston, of course. He was just to discover whether it would be painful. He had to do 29 of these children to be like, yeah, I think it is. I think.
You know what's wild about that is you get the title doctor, and people go blind. They don't see that you're a lunatic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hello. Do you know I had a dentist, and I heard him. It was like me and my dad found this guy. It was when I was living back with my dad. We found this guy through when insurance gives you a fucking list.
Right.
So it was like, let's try this fucking guy. He's right near the house because we're so lazy. He's right near the fucking house. So let's go to this fucking guy. So we go to this guy at a fucking toothache, and we get in there. And he's arguing inappropriately with his receptionist. Like it was like, usually it's like, now listen, Jill, come on, I really need that file. This was like, you little fucking bitch. Like, we were like, me and my dad were like, what the fuck is going on? And still, because me and my dad are completely out of it, he's got the title dentist.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, this guy,
He's having a
he's
bad
in my
day.
mouth. He's in my mouth. The next appointment, okay. And we're like, okay. He says, yeah, come back, and we'll start work on it, right? He does an x-ray. So we get back there. Well, I go back there. Ding dong, ding dong. No one's fucking there. I read in the paper he killed that woman. It turned out that his wife was the receptionist. That was his newlywed wife, and they went to Mexico on their honeymoon, and he killed her.
Oh my God.
And I wanted this guy because he was very close to the house.
Hey, dude, they always say
that was my dentist. You know?
Like we have this innate fear of like strangers. Like, oh, dude, it's like some guy's gonna come from nowhere and hack up the house. It's always somebody you know. It's like the guy
always
next
somebody
door.
you know.
It's always. And then you think about like I get why women, like you got 20-year-old girls going, oh, guys are mean. Like, no, look at like what your mom went through and her grandma went through, her mother went through. Like men used to be real dick. I mean, just say the most brutal shit to women back in the day. And now we got this like super duper like politically correct, like oversensitive shit, and you hear what girls cry about now, and you're like, come on, dude, you're just like, you're really fucking.
Well, what they're doing though, in their defense, is that it's so many years of all that shit built up. So now you have to sift through.
But sometimes they want credit for oppression they never went through. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like you get these 20-year-olds like, 50 years ago women couldn't vote. Well, they don't vote now. I mean, none of them, unless it's American Idol, they don't give a fuck about voting.
Not all, really?
Yeah.
Not all women.
I mean, dude, none of the women, dude. Hillary lost
Look,
because
what
women
you're talking
didn't vote for
about
her.
is a dumbing down. What you're talking about, people fucking who just vote for American Idol winners, that is the dumbing
Yeah,
down of this
yeah.
culture. And one of the things about this culture, you guys talk about politics, is that it is celebrity based. And let me tell you, celebrity obsessed. You know, like American Idol shows, like who's going to be the next big thing? You know what I mean? There's no fucking sense of real community, of like you kind of touched on it when you said nobody gives a fuck about the homeless.
Yeah.
It's like it's everybody for themselves, and like it's there isn't. I mean, there still isn't people, but it's dormant, like altruism and like helping others, and like people are like looking. And I mean, I get hooked into like everybody's Trump, or you know, ooh, the latest fucking celebrity bullshit on these fucking things. And what about just fucking making it a better fucking place, you know?
No, I'm with you on that one, dude. It's all shifting focus. I say that people aren't dumber. They're just inundated with more useless knowledge. Like the peasants of the 1700s weren't like astrophysicists. They just got one newspaper and that's all the information they got as like one guy drove by like, British are coming. That's all the info they got for the day, you know? So they had time to focus on books and shit. Now it's like, you can't go to the gas station and pump without them trying to hit you with...
It is maddening. It is maddening. And the you know, these things are so fucking ubiquitous. Like you hate them too, but like I have it next to me when I go to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
It's
And
like
I'm
I turn
addicted
it
to
off.
info.
Yes, well, we all are, I think. But it's useless, most of it. Anybody? Do you guys do what I do, which I think is a sickness in me? Like I'm following this huge fire in Redding, California.
How many followers on Twitter does that fire have? How many followers? If that fire has more followers than me, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. Who's his fucking manager? He's got Barry Katz representing him. Fucking selling
by
deals.
the way, that is a funny concept that this fire has Barry Katz managing. Look, he's like talking to the fire. It's like 80,000 acres. And Katz's office is right outside, like wherever the fire happens to be, like right outside. He's like, look, you gotta go toward the city and burn houses or you're not gonna get any press. Just burning. But like 8 people have died in this fire, and I'm like looking up, like just information, like the immensity of it. I think, like is dwarfing because this. By the way, nobody talks about that too, which I think is hilarious. But California is a drought-ridden hellhole. That is burning up.
Yep.
And it's burning up. And I don't know why people keep coming here.
Yeah.
Is the rest of the country that
we have
fucked up?
fire tornadoes, dude. Think about
That's
that.
right. That's what's going on with this
and
shit.
our rent's still the same.
And
I
you
think
want-
like when that busts out, we'll get $200 off your fucking rent, dude. We got
Your
fire
rent goes up.
And you know who's buying up all the real estate from the last fires that happened?
Unbelievable.
Chinese nationalists.
Chinese nationally, they have a lot of money, huh?
So-
Well, all these global.
So no more wineries are coming back. It's not like all Biff Tanner, like, my Chardonnay. It's going to be just now all developed homes and.
In Napa?
Yep, they're
Well, we'll see about
and
that.
that was also
We'll
they also
fucking see
think
about
that they,
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would think Napa has a lot of money itself.
and they was thinking that the cannabis farm, the industry was all being targeted before it went like legalized in 2019. So we got to get a fire sale in 2018 before we can start over.
buy low, dude. Buy low. That's all I say.
Well,
so we got this wiretappings.
A common theme now happens. It's always the vulnerable, whether you're the innocent children or you're going to be in the hospital. But unfortunately, if you ever get locked up back in the day, 1913 to 1951, Dr. Leo Stanley, chief surgeon at San Quentin Prison, performed a wide variety of experiments on hundreds of prisoners.
Well, this guy gets it, right?
All right. So I was telling Sam, I'm like, he just messed around in one strategic area, which was the testicular zone.
Oh my God!
So
Really?
What
he would,
science used to do. Think about that, man. If you had a headache, they're like, "Hey, man, just like puncture a hole in your fucking, do some cocaine, puncture a hole in your head, and release the demons." Like that was science back in the day.
1600s.
Yeah.
this is full on. He would take their testicles, why they're still awake. And
Is this people who just?
these are prisoners that just, you know.
I mean, could it be someone who just had road rage and
Yeah,
got,
like
you know,
I got
no,
a
but I mean,
jaywalking ticket. Now I got no nuts.
give me the jaywalkers, Bob.
So-
Jaywalkers there.
He did it while they were awake, and then he attempted to implant testicles from rams, goats, and even boars on these living. He was.
See, he's a mad like.
He's like a Dick Frankenstein, right?
Yeah, yeah. But what they are is they have no, and it's scary. They don't have that empathy thing. Like how the fuck? Like I guess there's a part of being a doctor where in order to be a good doctor, you kind of have to have this way to shut down
Right.
because you're inflicting pain
Right.
on people, and you're trying not to look at body parts as
Yeah.
humanity
Right.
because you have
Systems.
to cut into them.
You're a
you know?
mechanic. This is not a
Yeah.
Well,
living.
I mean-
Or if you see an attractive woman, you can't be like, wow, wow, oh my fucking God, Mrs. Johnson. By the way, before I examine your breasts, I just want to say I fucking love you. Wait, are you interested in going out to Wolfgang Puck's and then maybe an opera? I don't know what got it. All right, never mind. Let me just examine. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
you
they
know-
have to have this complete.
It's like they say about, Bill Burr was saying about Steve Jobs. It's like, thank God he got into like Apple and didn't become like, because he had third world dictator tendencies. Like, fucking do what I say or else you're fucking gone. By pushing this Buddhism type style of like philosophy, but like crushing spirits.
I don't know much about Jobs. Was he was totally ruthless?
Oh, yeah. That's why none of the movies ever work because everybody
Oh, they don't
knew.
go there?
Yeah.
It's all Valentine's?
Well, no, it's
Why
like
do they
it's like
make
light,
Valentine
like
movies?
it's like
Yeah.
brush strokes over.
Why do
it.
they do? Why don't they go into the dark side?
Because-
that would be an interesting movie.
Apple is a giant
Oh, I see. Yeah,
mega
yeah.
corporation that wouldn't put up with that.
Right.
So he sets up fucking, sweatshops everywhere.
He what? Sweatshops. Yeah.
Just crushing spirits. Why? Every time I watch an Apple commercial and they're just like,
Oh, yeah,
ethnic
everybody-
kids dancing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's street bright colors. I'm just like, and you have sweat fucking. Here I am with an iPhone. I'm trying to get off it. And then I get the phone insurance, which I don't know what that is for.
What is that? Yeah.
I don't know. I get phone insurance.
Mr. Tripoli, this is Tom down here at Apple Phone Insurance. I see you're not insured. You have to be insured. You have the 10? You have the 10?
It's like some
I don't
mafia
even know
shit.
what I have. Dude.
I don't
I'm
even
so
know what I
lost.
have. People are so lost. Do you know I asked somebody in the crowd at the Comedy Store the other day, where you from? They looked at each other and they said, I think we're from the computer. I think we live in Instagram. I'm like, what the fuck are you people talking about?
I've got to witness firsthand you interacting with the crowd. There's nothing better than people who have no idea what they're walking into on an Eddie Pepitone set. It's like it's great,
dude.
man.
It's so great.
So I think we're going to move away from the surgical and we're going to go right into pathogens, disease, and now we're getting to the biological side of things.
Yeah.
1906, Professor Richard Strong of Harvard. Don't forget.
Oh, yeah. Harvard, by the way. I saw that. This evil fuck, Harvard.
yeah.
And we all have this reverence. Oh, it's Harvard. You ever go on the campus of Harvard? It looks really nice.
Yeah. Dark shit.
So go ahead. What
He
about
intentionally infected 24 Filipino prisoners with cholera, which had become contaminated with plague. He did this without the consent of the patients, and 13 died.
He's probably like, I'm pretty sure no one's going to consent to this. Listen, it's cholera. But there's more. It's got the plague. In or out right now.
Wait a minute. I was in for the cholera because, me and my wife love cholera, but the plague is part of it. I got to talk it over with her.
Yeah.
Well, you take 24 hours.
2 years later, 3 Philadelphia researchers infected dozens of children with tuberculin at the St. Vincent's House for Orphanage, causing permanent blindness.
Yeah, well, I love the fact that you pointed out that it's the powerless that have these experiments.
they do it
It'd
all
be
the time.
hilarious if it was like done on the Vanderbilts.
I would love
And
that.
the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers. All the Rockefeller children today were injected with the bubonic plague by Harvard psychiatrist Richard
We
Strong.
were talking. I asked people on Twitter, the elites of the elites, how many of them have died of cancer? We got the 4. Like, just think about that. How many people in your own life?
Yeah.
died of cancer. Of the elites, like Ted Kennedy, Steve Jobs. Who's the other? There was one more that they'd said had died.
Now,
from.
cancer doesn't discriminate, though, right?
But the point is, do they have a cure?
Do they have a cure?
Do they have a cure?
I don't think they could hide that. You think they could?
So there is a big thing.
Why
going-
would they hide it?
Population control.
Oh,
dude.
yeah. Well, the population's out of control.
Yeah.
The population's out of control. So if that's their aim, they fail.
But if you know multiple people in your life who've died of cancer, and when you think of not just one genre of elites, but you take all the elites, and you can name 4. Like
I don't know. I don't know the stats on that. Is that true?
Yeah, I
mean,
believe
Steve
so.
Jobs. I mean, Ted Kennedy, Steve
There
Jobs.
was one more. We mentioned on our Patreon. I mean, if you had to choose a way for a mass die out, would you rather have it be disease, war, or some sort of natural disaster, like an asteroid or volcano?
Oh, fucking asteroid for sure.
That'd be quick, huh?
Yeah, but then they, because they'll be like, oh, it's coming. We shouldn't even just tell them. Just like, what are they gonna do? Just like let it hit, and then everybody take a day off, go fuck something you've always wanted to stick your dick in, and just have a great day. Like a plague just seems painful.
Oh yeah, the least pain. Yeah, right. I don't.
Like, let's say you don't really have it, but they just throw you in
I
the
don't think
incinerator.
anyone would be good. I mean, even an asteroid hit, there would probably be all kinds of survivors, like sifting through fucking. There would be no sun and that kind of shit. It would be very tenuous connection to Netflix. It would be very hard to get Netflix.
It would be very
like you're in
hard.
the middle of Sharp Objects.
And
what
I
do you
still
do?
wouldn't get a special. That's all I know. Even if the asteroid hit, I wouldn't get.
I'm sorry. Like the Netflix guy is underground, like in the mantle of the earth, going to. No, we've gone with Jack Knight, Sam. Jack Knight is going to do. He survived. We found out.
We're only going with the albino mutants. Sorry.
Earl Skakel is taking that.
Hey, so Juliet, Illinois, think of the Blues Brothers. This is Stateville Penitentiary. They did a malaria study, and it controlled study effects beginning in the 40s. So they conducted by the Department of Medicine in a coalition with the University of Chicago and the United States Army. At the Nuremberg trials, Nazi doctors cited this as a part of their defense, because this study at State Penitentiary lasted for 29 years.
In Chicago, Joliet?
Yeah, they infected, for 29 years, they gave malaria to
29
prisoners.
years? Why? They wanted to see what it did over a period of 29 years?
Oh, yeah, dude.
And-
they're
and-
famous for that.
And so when the Nazi doctors were on trial in Nuremberg, they're like, hey, your Americans been doing
Oh,
it?
I
They're
would.
like,
If I was the Nazi doctors, I would have said that too. Obviously.
Do you
So-
think Johnny Cochran could got the Nazis off? That's how good he was.
Yana?
so here's a good one.
Nazi sponsors.
Cow blood, right? Cow blood.
This door in the gas chamber don't open, sir. Nobody could get in here.
In 1942, the Harvard University biochemist Edward Cohen injected 64 Massachusetts prisoners with cow blood.
Oh, God.
And
This
this was
was who? A Harvard guy?
yeah, Harvard University biochemist, and this was sponsored by the United States Navy.
This is brought to you by the U.S. Navy. The
Bovine.
Navy. See the world.
Free bovine injections.
Free bovine injection. The Navy, not only will we take you around the world and give you a crisp, clean uniform and get you very interested in fit men, but we will also inject you with cow blood because we're the Navy. No, why were they injecting people with cow blood, though?
No reason whatsoever.
It's
It's
got to
just
be some kind of
spitballing
fucking...
at this point. You're like, we got this money, we got these needles, and we got like all these soldiers. What are we gonna do? And it's just some.
Hey,
weird-
Bob, I had this dream yesterday where we took the cows that we have and we extract blood from them and put it in the prisoners. And I don't know what the dream meant, but my God, Ted, I think you've hit on something.
I got 64 prisoners just for that.
No,
What do you say?
So they injected him with cow blood. What was the outcome?
Just to see the effects of what happens.
And what
with
were the
infected-
effects?
A good amount of them died.
Yeah,
So
dude.
this is 42. Now, this is the one where our friend of the show, Eddie Bravo, he's big into chemtrails and whatnot, or he has been in the past, not too sure if he still is. In 1950, in order to conduct a simulation of biological warfare attack,
I read this today.
The United States Navy sprayed large quantities of bacteria over San Francisco during a project called Operation Sea Spray.
Oh my God.
Right? Numerous citizens contracted pneumonia-like illnesses, and at least one died as a result. And the family of that man sued, and they won. So I mean, the government.
won?
This is why people say the government sprays things, it kills people, and this is their evidence of it happened in 1950.
See, I've never been a believer in chemtrails, but then I read that today, and I was like, they really did that shit?
Yeah, what about...
And I was like, whoa. I was like, you know.
I don't want to jump forward, but do you got the St. Louis one too?
Of you're talking about the Tuskegee?
No, like St. Louis, they sprayed St. Louis like for a
I knew
decade.
there was something wrong with that town.
Yeah.
Wait, have you ever played there?
Oh yeah.
So they sprayed it with...
Like chemical, like I forget what they did, but they just came out and admitted that they did it. And it's just like they sprayed the town for a decade with chemicals just to see how it would react to certain things. And it's just like, they see these people at the highest levels, they're psychopaths. You know, like to make it to the highest level in anything takes a level of like fuck off that like you don't win at all costs anything. And like we always talk about like the initiation. There's different kind of very dark initiations to get to next levels. And to get to these levels, to be a part of these events, you have to basically show that you have no soul, you don't care, and you're willing to do whatever you want. And they look at us like cattle. We're like ones and twos. We're like zeros and ones. We're binary to these guys. And they just do these things to see like what the reaction would be. And they're just like, yeah. And they never expected to be an internet when they did this, and that would just permanently tell everybody what was going on. And it's just real shit.
Well, Eddie, you know a lot about Eastern philosophy, the idea of dualism, that the concept is as above, so below, that the elites know this as well. So they don't see anything as good or evil, you know? They feel like as long as that's why they do things in plain sight or put symbolism to it, because then they rid themselves of the karmic, like negative side effects, because it's like, we've told you, we're putting it out there with messages.
Yeah.
So
that's the whole thing on these, like, again, like, we're not going to get into this, but it's like the false flag side of stuff. Like, the whole thing is that they supposedly give clues to where everything's going to be so that, and if it doesn't, if you don't stop it, it's on you, not them. It's like, and that's a whole different episode, but, you know, within that, that's a big part. Like, you see clues to stuff, and then something happens.
This one was fascinating because in the vein of Frisco, 1979, the San Francisco Chronicle reported a claim by the Church of Scientology that the CIA conducted an open-air biological warfare experiment in 1955 at Tampa, Florida, which was causing whooping cough bacteria. It tripled the whooping cough infections in Florida with over 1,000 cases. Mainly,
and the Church of Scientology brought that.
Mainly Scientologists got the whooping cough.
Oh, really?
So the CIA in the 79.
Oh, the CIA was targeting Scientology.
In 55.
It's weird when you walk down like the streets of like Tampa and you see like Scientology buildings.
It's Clearwater. Clearwater, Florida is the other portion of Scientology.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. You ever play Tampa?
Yes.
It's
yes.
wonderful. I love it.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I love Florida to play because as much shit as they get for like Florida man, like they're just down the lap. It is like, I think it's more of a.
Where do you play? I played Tampa not a long time ago, not for a while.
I play the Tampa Improv, but I'm gonna start doing more of my own shows out there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put these together.
The pods.
Yeah, the live pods.
Yeah.
But I just love it because they're just.
That's cool.
Like you can get a house in Florida for like $1,000. Like you drop, just got to put $1,000 down. They're like, here's your brand new house. You know, they're just begging people to move there.
Really?
Here I can't get a closet for $1,000.
Oh, it's so fucked up over here.
Yeah, it's so bad, dude. What are we doing?
I don't know. I'm glad I have Apple phone insurance. So. And then when you lose it, you again.
So you being a Buddhist, I don't know if you're the same way I am. I haven't killed or purposely killed any insects or anything living in over 2.5 years.
cockroaches out of my place.
But
Like I'll lift it up in paper and throw it out
Yeah.
and go, "You live another day, you motherfucker."
besides those spiders that you eat in your sleep, you eat like at least 8 spiders a week, I think.
I'm fine with that. If they want to die, maybe some of them are like, "My life sucks. My
They just
wife
crawl
sucks."
in, though. They just
Yeah.
crawl in.
Yeah,
But if I was around in 1954 when Operation Big Itch happened, which
Big
was
Itch.
Big Itch.
test munitions loaded with infected fleas, so they were literally like shooting.
This is
flected-
my nightmare.
So I might have to scratch and slap at those if that's the
What
case.
did they do on this one? Where did they fucking?
They're making infected flea basically ammo. So we're talking like
Where
some-
they test it?
They're doing this in the United States. They call it etymological weapons, which means
Right.
insects.
Oh shit!
So this is
yeah.
what-
The weaponry is evil, huh? It's fucking evil.
And it
That'd
has
be
a-
funny if the gun lobby was like, we have a right to carry 1 billion insects, like if it was all etymological guns and shit.
Totally.
Look, we have a right to carry 1 billion flea-infested insects, or else the bad guys are just gonna get them.
I mean, like, dude, didn't they? I mean, we talked about this earlier. I don't want to jump anything, but didn't they release a bunch of mosquitoes recently?
There you go, man. Yeah, they have
Oh, I hope
mosquitoes
not. I
that
hate
they.
mosquito. We
I
don't have them
hate
out
them.
here though.
Thank God, but I think they released them out
It was
here, huh?
designed to fight the West Nile, so they were designed to infect ones that had West Nile to then kill them off. So it was bug on bug crime out here.
In LA, I mean in Southern
They were
California
doing it
or
in
California,
Central Valley, where
California.
all
So
the
these were mosquitoes that were gonna suck on mosquitoes.
yeah, and these things were designed by it's a offshoot of Alphabet Inc., which is the parent company of Google. Google bought up something around like 6 of the biggest robotic firms a couple years ago, and most of those come out of the DARPA, military industrial complex. So yeah, they have these. In theory, people have been talking about them. No one's really seen one, but they have these robotic, microscopic little, basically mosquitoes that can be used to inject you with anything from an RFID, which is a radio frequency identification chip. So I know where Eddie's at. Be like Eddie's at the Trader Joe's.
They know
right
where
now.
we're at all the time with our stupid fucking phones and cards.
Yeah, yeah.
What the fuck do they need an R? You know what I mean? They really know where we're at now.
Yeah.
This is tracking us.
Yep.
Our cards. Who uses cash anymore?
So the
Well, that's
idea.
a big push too. Get us off actual paper money and put us all into this digital form. So if any time you talk shit, they can just shut it right down.
Oh, that's right.
And they always talk about Bitcoin, but it's like, what happens when the internet goes? Like, how are you gonna get your Bitcoin if they shut down the internet? Let's say you got $1 million in Bitcoin.
Well, I guess they can't shut down the internet because everything runs off it now.
We get hit by a solar flare and it hits all of our satellites, a big electromagnetic pulse device. Maybe
They'll have some that keeps their internet
The-
up.
the future-
but us cattle, we get fucking the shit internet.
Yeah, I think the future of terrorism isn't actually violence. It's going to be like setting up a U-Haul truck that lets an electromagnetic pulse device, maybe in Irvine, California, near where Blizzard has
Can't
their
get your Pornhub
Yep,
anymore.
and take down that.
Fuck, man. This new porno's supposed to be.
Hey Bob, they took down Pornhub. This has gotten real.
Get the flea bullets.
Get the flea bullets.
So in 1966, the U.S. Army released Bacillus gobli in the tunnels of New York City subway system as a part of a field experiment.
I read that and I was like, you got it. I was in the subways in '66. I remember not feeling well.
I like that it has a very easy title. The study was called A Study of Vulnerability of Subway Passengers in New York City to Covert Attack with Biological Agents.
Yeah.
Mouthful.
What did they inject into the subway system?
A bacteria that basically just got everyone sick, and they wanted to see how far it would spread.
These motherfuckers.
They did it in Chicago as well. And this was full on backed by the Army. I mean, they're the ones that did it. This is it. Most of my
Now,
information.
why don't people, like, you'll never hear this anywhere.
I mean, look at
I'm
us.
surprised it's even
You'll
on
hear
the
it on
internet.
tinfoil hat.
We were saying we have the only fans that when they come up and talk to us, after a while they're like, "All right, guys."
No, yeah, it's so funny when we meet our fans. They'll start talking to us. They're like, "Oh man, I love your pod." So, and after about 5 minutes, like, "Okay, dude, I gotta go." Like, no, I haven't even told you about the lizard people. Yeah, hold on. They're like, "Gotta go." Girlfriends are pulling them.
yeah.
Well, let's move away to the final one, which is going to be, nuclear shit, which is our fear. 1949 operation called the Green Run The U.S. Atomic Energy Commission, AEC, released iodine 131 and xenon 133 to the atmosphere of Hanford, Washington, which contaminated 500,000 acres containing
I'm
three
playing
small
Hanford in a
towns.
week.
Yep. So if you see any like three-eyed, maybe two-eyed, you might see something from
So
Green Run.
they released that.
Nuclear iodine into the atmosphere over three small towns in 1949.
Jesus, what happened? Do they know?
That's the best part. I'm always on like the Department of Homeland Security or the CIA or the NSA's website, which I don't know why my computer hasn't exploded by now, but it always gives me information, but it's always like, and where's the end part of that? So this one you all know about. Here we go. Well, should I get into you want Project Bluebird or do you want Project
I just
Chatter?
want to say real quick that I found the government settled suits over test spraying in St. Louis during the Cold War. They used to
Really?
just spray St. Louis, dude. Like, isn't that insane that our own government did that without anybody knowing and did it
And
for
what were they
years?
spraying St. Louis with? I'm going to look that up. What,
Yeah.
Was there a name to that event?
Covert weapons. That's all it says right here. And for some reason,
Isn't Aaron? Aaron, are you from St. Louis?
no, Aaron just
no.
likes St. Louis baseball.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
He's
Go
from
Cards.
San Diego, so he's always had it hard.
Have you ever heard of the Edgewood Arsenal drug experiments? So this is the idea of a lot of where the basis of Stranger Things comes from.
Can I just say this real quick? Just answer. Several cities chosen decades ago by the government contracts for spraying of zinc ketamine sulfide, a chemical powder mixed with fluoride particles to allow tracking of dispersal patterns. Dispersal patterns. Thank you. Thank you.
Crazy.
Like that's crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean,
And you know the whole thing behind fluoride.
it's mind-boggling to me that they're going to poison their own citizens, poison them.
I used to work at a vitamin shop that actually Andrew Dice Clay would come to all the time, needless to say. And
Out here?
Yeah, people in LA are so many vegans and vegetarians, and man, the stuff they get to like cleanse out all the parasites and the blood and the cleanse out the pineal gland, K2 and K1. These guys start breaking this down. That's where fluoride builds up and calcifies in your pineal gland, which causes you just to not have any ambition or to dream or to even have any type of creative thought
I gotta get
process.
that fucking filter gets rid of that fluoride.
The very first people to put fluoride in the
Fluoride
water.
trips me out, by the way. Duncan was telling me about that actually. He doesn't, and I'm a little scared of that. See, this is the thing about conspiracy theories and like having a lot of knowledge is that, well, you want to be able to live your life, right? You don't want to like look up at the sky when a plane goes overhead and be like,
Run.
yeah, or think that everyone is out to get you.
Well, that is a big thing for us.
Isn't
it's
it?
Just like living. I say live and let live. I just enjoy that they're up to something and I can figure it out. That's really it. I'm not expecting to change the world. I can only control what I do and how I treat people in my world and all that stuff.
Right.
And not about this thing, but like how we allow our military just to fuck everybody else up, and nobody wants to hear about it because they're too busy making that money, taking care of their kids. But what they don't realize is like if they don't pay attention to it, it's all gonna go away.
Yeah, and it is going away.
Yeah, and
It
they
is
don't
going
care.
away.
So when this crash comes, and it's coming, they're going to be running around going, "What the fuck? What the fuck? What
That's
the fuck?"
right.
And it's just because you didn't want to pay attention. You allowed to be.
How do you
lied
see
to.
the crash coming? Financial.
It's going to be a financial, and then there's going to be a pushback by a lot of countries. To me, are no longer going to be okay with us just fucking napalming everybody, and
Right.
you're going to see China. See, here's the thing about our bloated military budget. Everyone's like, we spend more money than anybody else in the military. 100% true. But where's that
Which is
real?
fucked.
Where's that money really go to? Is it actual weaponry? No, it's contracts. These fucking military industrial complex people are taking all the
Yeah, they
money.
make a lot of
the
money.
actual application to the military is minuscule compared to these fucking pigs taking all this fucking money in. So it's like Dude, I mean, maybe we're not meant to win a war because when was the last time we won a war? I mean, like, we've been in Iraq forever.
Right.
We've been in fucking Afghanistan forever. And maybe the whole point is perpetual war, so we got to keep buying weapons. But so at some point, there's going to be a blowback.
It is perpetual war, yeah.
We're not in war, guys, because you can win or lose a war. We're in conflict. We
Yeah.
don't ever get in wars anymore, remember?
Right. I agree with that. And it's all about the money trough. You know, we're a perpetual war, which just funds this shit, and it's just, you know, pigs at the trough, you know?
Pigs at the trough, war pigs, dog. And
War
it's just,
pigs.
like, eventually going to come. And with the, like, dude, the petrodollar, we've assassinated leaders so they didn't get off the petrodollar. You know, the Federal Reserve has created fractional...
What is the petrodollar? That's a big one, isn't it?
Well, what the petrodollar is basically all U.S. currencies is backed by Saudi oil, and that all oil at this point must be traded in U.S. dollars. Meaning you have to purchase U.S. dollars to buy this stuff. And we're seeing other countries, China and Russia just kicked out the petrodollar. They're actually doing off the Chinese dollar, which is the...
And once we aren't the funders of that...
Yeah, it all collapses. And in particular, I mean, like...
What's your plan? I mean, that's going to be... I might want a cyanide pill for that shit.
Well, the good thing about California is the moment you get out of L.A., like you go 2 hours in that direction, you get to... It's beautiful. You forget... It's like Ansel Adams painting, you know?
That's true.
So much of this country is really empty. It's just we happen to be in areas where there's 10 million people on top of one another, you know?
Yeah, and they just keep moving here because small town cities are just dying because
It's true.
there's no business there. There's nobody building anything. You know, the Clintons gave us fucking free trade, and it's
But
devastated.
the rents keep going up here, and it's
and then they're
and all the
building
big
these-
cities, man.
they're
Hollywood is insane. I mean, like,
starting
you
to
know,
look
over
like
the
New
hill.
York City, dude. It's like we can't build out. So
Who
we
the
gotta build
fuck
up.
can afford these? I want to know who the fuck has the money for these.
You know what it
places.
is, dude?
What is it?
Rich Beverly Hills kids. Dad's
Is
got
it?
billions of dollars. They just buy these kids a fucking condo, and the kids all party right there in Hollywood, and they go to these fucking condos. Or just like rich people doing Airbnbs. You know, that's all I can
Right.
think of, man.
Right.
It's the Saudi summer right now. Have you guys noticed that on the Sunset Strip? You see a lot more like Rolls Royce and
Is that
Lambos.
right?
They call it the Saudi summer because it's like 125 degrees there, and it's only 100 degrees here. So it's like, hey, it's cool, man. So they come here for the summertime. You'll see women wearing all their clothes, but they leave it all behind because when they go back to the Arab states, you can't be dressing like that.
Oh shit.
It's a whole different thing here. I wanted to tell you guys about Edgewood because this is kind of fun. So the
Yeah.
paranoia of the Cold War inspired the military to attempt some high dubious experiments, but few nearly the 20-year-long. This thing is crazy. So beginning in the 1950s, Maryland's Edgewood Arsenal was a classified Army research program on psychoactive drugs and other chemical agents. More than 5,000 soldiers served as guinea pigs for the project. They were injected with everything from, we're talking about,
Oh, they didn't know?
these guys,
The soldiers didn't know?
these guys were intended to identify non-lethal incapacitating agents. So the whole idea was for them to use it in combat and see what they could do during interrogation techniques.
Could you imagine if the military targeted podcasters? Like they were just taking podcasters and injecting them with, you know, the latest, and it's only podcasters.
Well, the NSA is
and
now-
I would just point out my podcast doesn't get a lot of downloads.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that would be my defense.
Like, what about Pepitone? Not enough
it's not
reach.
enough.
We're not ruin the waste of serum.
Yeah,
Maybe Steve Lawley. That's it. We'll throw something on him.
unsuspecting Army grunts were given everything from marijuana, PCP, mescaline, LSD,
Hold it. Now, so far it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
Except
I'm just,
except for this one. It's called BZ. It's a delirium-inducing chemical. Now, this one is where we move away from having fun because BZ basically makes it so that you're incapacitated, you're on the
I think
ground.
I've heard of BZ.
Yeah.
What is it? Does it make your?
It's
Just,
a hallucinogenic, but it's not a fun one.
It's
so
not
it's
a
like,
fun one.
It's darkness. So you just basically want to get in the fetal position and just cold.
why do people make these things?
You know?
Like, who invents PCP? What's the point?
Well, you guys have ever heard of
What?
It's an animal tranquilizer.
Oh, look who it is. WebMD over here. Really? So someone said, dude, this is for animals, but let's try it. And they smoked it. And it just like, next thing you know, they're punching cops in the face.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and when you dip it in cigarettes, it's a Sherm stick. You never had one? All right, so check this one out.
Have you had one?
Back when I was a drug user, yeah.
PCP?
Yeah, I actually.
Does it just knock you out? Like,
may-
it sounds like not a fun thing. It's like,
What'd you do?
You just get weird. You get fucking
Like,
just.
what's weird? There's different weirds. There's
Right.
jerking off in the Walmart weird. There's punching cops weird. There's Robert Downey Jr. waking up in a kid's bed weird. Like, what is the weird?
I was watching a Japanese animation, and I could have swore that I was understanding Japanese,
oh wow, that kind of weird. Yeah.
That is kind of weird.
and I don't speak Japanese.
So high you fucking speak foreign languages?
So Operation Ranch Hand, all right, 1961.
Ranch Hand.
Yep, this one no one knows the name
That's a
of.
porn movie I saw.
Yeah, it's like when these operations went underground, that they just moved into naming porns after that. No, they went to UFC fights. UFC 24, Ultimate Glory.
So, Operation Ranch Hand involved spraying massive quantities of chemicals and defoliants to de-leaf the jungles of the Viet Cong, the North Vietnamese forces, right?
That sounds like Agent Orange.
Exactly. That's what this is. But no one knows it for what its real term is because it's actually a part of the rainbow herbicides. Dow Chemical Company and Monsanto. They're the ones.
Monsanto, man, you want to talk
Oh, yeah,
about
you
shit,
go off on that
making
all the time.
seeds.
We're going to
you
do an
know.
entire episode on them because
Are you good? I want to hear that. one.
Monsanto has now changed their name. They're bought by Bayer.
Bayer, who is one of the most evil.
Bayer aspirin?
Yeah.
Bayer is
Bayer
the
is-
only company from Nazi Germany.
Now, I was
that's-
wondering about
They
it.
made a Cyclone B, which is what they used to gas the Jews for the final solution.
It's just unbelievable the people that work with the Jews, and then everyone's like, "We're hunting Nazis." You're like, "Well, Bayer's over there," but real Nazi. It's like unbelievable to me. Like
Well-
the Bushes,
Yeah.
like it's like they helped bankroll that whole thing.
And Bayer also made heroin. They're the ones
These
that
motherfuckers.
synthesized and actually made heroin in America. So, but check this out. They call it the rainbow herbicides because it wasn't just Agent Orange. They were described in the barrels they came in. The color of the barrel was the color of the agent. There's Agent Pink, Agent Green, Agent Purple, Blue, White.
They were all defoliants.
And of course Agent Orange, but Agent Orange is the one that
They
they believe. I mean, that's the chemical has dioxin, which has later been proven for serious mental illness, including cancer, severe psychological and neurological disorders.
Did they stop using that supposedly after Vietnam?
Supposedly, but during Vietnam, from 61 to 71, they dropped 20 million gallons of this chemical over Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. Do you know?
So the civilian population there.
Laos, a lot of people don't know about in Laos, that's where we would always dump any unused ammo and any unused bombs. Like if you didn't drop it all in Vietnam, then you need to just drop it all in Laos. That's why to this day it has some of the most unexploded ordnances everywhere.
That's so fucked up and,
it's
so dangerous.
our stuff.
Oh, did you ever listen to Anthony Bourdain talk about like how he's been to like Vietnam? You know, when he was alive, obviously, about how he, you know, when he goes to Vietnam and all these other places, like he can't believe that Henry Kissinger, is still allowed to walk the planet
Yeah.
after what he fucking did to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is unbelievable.
Didn't he win the fucking Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, that thing's just given out to. It's like the fucking. What is that one awards that the Foreign
It's like
Press
an Emmy.
gives out? Right? What's the Foreign Press Awards?
Oh, the Globes.
Yeah, the Globes. It's like they're giving like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, fucking best fucking television show. You're like, you're just handing it out to people so they show up to your fucking thing, man.
Right.
So in 1979, a class action lawsuit was filed on behalf of 2.4 million veterans who exposed Agent Orange during
It's unbelievable.
Class
My uncle.
action,
It happened to
good.
my uncle.
It's got to
Came
be
back
more
different.
class action stuff. to
$180
stop stuff.
million they settled out of court. So I mean,
180 million?
That's it.
to their next of kin of those
I
180
mean, how many
million.
of these how many of these people had children that were deformed? You look at these guys that all went to like Iraq, not the first Iraq, the second Iraq, and they had to take all these fucking shots to go there, and like their kids are being born like with severe, problems because of these fucking vaccines they've had to take.
Oh, really? To go?
Yeah.
To fight in Iraq?
Yeah, and fight in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's just unbelievable to me. And like again, it goes back to what we're talking about, this military budget. It's like you got these guys driving around in these Humvees that aren't equipped to deal with what's out there, which is like landmines. So they got all this protection here, but nothing on the bottom. So these landmines will go up, and these guys were toast. And it's just like,
Have they changed that?
well, yeah, they did,
they
but
did.
it took a lot to
Yeah.
change it. But it's
Yeah.
like, it's almost like, that famous thing in Fight Club where they talk about how like giant corporations will crunch the numbers on whether they should fix something or deal with the lawsuits. And
Unbelievable.
if fixing it is cheaper than the lawsuit, they'll fix it. If it's not, they'll just roll the dice on the lawsuit.
Unbelievable. Fight Club, a good movie. I never really hung with it.
Unbelievably awesome.
And does it have a big message to it about corpse?
You would
and
love
stuff?
it, dude.
It's
At
a
the
Buddhist-
end, when he blows up all the fucking
I didn't
banks, and they all and that's why it got huge. Like, there's a big pushback. It's anti-female. And the real thing was, it was saying, we don't need fucking banks. We don't need this fucking shit. Credit's bullshit,
It's a Buddhist story, actually.
Really?
The whole story is about detachment and losing fear and not being ignorant. It's about liberation.
Yeah,
And it's a cool story.
It's a great movie, dude.
Yeah. Well, we did it, guys. We got to Agent Orange, man.
Yeah.
I mean, dude.
Well, I'll tell you this. I guess your podcast, it opens up many more questions than there are answers for. And also, it fuels for me. Now, you're a funny dude, but it fuels for me outrage. You seem to be like, this is all entertainment.
No.
You should write it.
Well,
No, but there's an element of that.
Well,
right?
for me, it's just like I have to make this. It's like a long time ago I saw on HBO a great, like, it was a soundbite from a trailer or a commercial from one of their shows. And it was like, get them laughing, slip them the truth. There's a lot of
That's what we do as comedians,
yeah.
don't
So
we?
that's what this podcast is. We call it the training wheels of conspiracy. We're not here to give you, go the deepest. We're here like, okay,
But
here's a little.
what Ryan was reading off of that, unethical, website.
If I can get
I
anybody
mean-
to do anything, is just unplug from the mainstream media, question everything, and don't be in a herd mentality. And that's really what we try to do on this show. It's like we have a political style on here called Ronin. We call it the Ronin, and it's like we don't join any groups. We don't defend anybody we don't know. We don't defend any actions we weren't part of. We try not to give information to those who do not seek it. And we right the wrongs. And like sometimes I wasn't sure if you were enjoying this podcast or not. People come on the podcast, and sometimes we get in the waters that make them a little nervous. You know?
Yeah, I can
And
see that.
I could see, but
You mean phone calls and shit?
what do you mean?
You say you get people. Oh, you get people guests
Yeah,
on.
on this.
Of course, you get
And
people
they get like,
nervous. I was getting a little.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I mean, I don't know. It's like it's because you're talking about, the deepest levels of control. It's 1984 shit, It's
of that, the people that you trust the most, and they tell you trust them, don't really give a fuck about
Yeah.
you, and they're actually
and that's a hard way. Yeah, it's tough.
I read recently that social anxiety is conspiracy theories you tell yourself about yourself. So, I mean,
That's great.
it's really like
That is fucking great.
And the more I get in the comedy world and I walk around, I see these guys on stage, and then I kind of like lurk around at the patio and I see how they are off. It's interesting to see who really is the same guy on and off, because there's guys that.
The great example of that is Dave Attell. I mean, like, that
about
guy
Dave?
has social anxiety like a motherfucker. He can't stand still. He's the best. He's my favorite. Everybody's got their own.
I love Dave Attell. I have not seen enough of Dave live.
Oh, I watch them all. Like, anytime you're there, I can only watch it for a little while because it upsets me that I'm never going to be able to, like that is a level that I'm like, that's so amazing, and it makes me want to work harder.
What do you love so much about Dave? I've heard that from a bunch of comedians.
I love that he picks the absolutely perfect punchline. Like, they could have gone with that, or they should try this. With him, you're like, oh, that's like a grand, like, it's absolutely perfect. I think you take like you take your 5 top comics, your personal top 5, right?
Yeah.
And let's assume Dave's one of them. And you take the other 4, you put them in a room, have them write a fucking monologue, and then you have Dave in his old.
Right.
I think Dave could beat I just think he's that kind of. He has a wonderful way of looking at the world and view of the world, I think he's wonderful, dude. And
How do we get on, Dave? Oh, social anxiety.
yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, that's got it.
We were at
That's
Skankfest recently, and he was performing there, and there was a sober green room, and I was sitting in there, and then the door opened up, and he's like, "Hey, bud," and I was like, "Hey, Dave," and I just sat there like an asshole looking at my phone. Then I put my phone down, and I was like, "I respect you too much to fanboy out," and I just like walked out. He's like, "I appreciate that." So that was my reaction of like, I like this guy so much, I can't even be in the same room as you. Here, have it to yourself, man.
Wow.
He's a cool dude. I can't wait for us.
Where was that? In
Skankfest NYC at Brooklyn.
Oh, and you guys were
It
in
was
New York
great,
recently?
dude. Yeah, we did. We've been doing the podcast, and it's like slowly growing. Like we did in when the show first started. We did in La Jolla, and it was like we got up to 80 people, and I was kind of happy about that. But everywhere we go,
What is Skankfest again?
So it's Legion of Skanks is on Gas Digital.
Oh,
and
is that
that's
Jay?
Big J Okerson,
Big J.
Dave Smith, and Louis J. Gomez. So they have this big like 2-day festival, and
That's right.
everyone was there.
one more time, tell them where they can find you, and what's the date you're gonna be? You said you had a date coming up.
Yeah, babies. I got some dates coming up. Yana, that gas chamber door, it could not open.
If they can't fit, we must equip.
Yeah, I'm going to be at Tumblers in Amsterdam, August 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas.
Where are you gonna be?
On the 27th, part of the Altercation Comedy Fest. So
There's
check
so
out
many fests. I love
Altercation
it.
Comedy Fest. And then I'm going to be in North Dakota. In Fargo, October, I believe it's 19 and 20.
Well, we love you. I hope that we didn't make it so weird that you won't come back. You're always welcome. We'd love to have you
Thanks,
on.
man. It was
real
great.
Quick, hold on. Real quick, guys. I did something I always wanted to do. I took my albums down to Amoeba, and you can now buy my album at Amoeba Records here in Hollywood at Sunset. You have 90 days to get it before they give it back to me. So it's my newest one, The Diabolical, plus my first one, which is Crime Fighter. Go down there. They're cheaper than if you buy it on the internet. Go down there, take a picture of you buying it there. I'll personally sign it for you at a show. Please don't let them give it back to me. I love you guys. Eddie Pepitone, you're one of my favorites. I hope you don't think I'm a weirdo now. We will do this again soon. Thank you for all your support. We'll see you in Texas. Take care, guys.